Hey, you guys, welcome back to Rocket City Yardstead. If you're new, my name is Sarah. Welcome. So, we're making dinner tonight, and I thought I'd just bring you guys along. This is a recipe that goes back like my entire life. My mom clipped this recipe out of a Taste of Home magazine, who knows when, sometime when I was very young, at least. And my whole childhood, it was on the fridge with a magnet. We always laughed because the recipe was called Susan's Kielbasa, and my mom's name is Susan. It's the cabbage, it's kielbasa, and actually we haven't been able to eat this in a really long time because I had a hard time finding kielbasas that didn't have corn syrup or corn syrup solids in it. And just in the last maybe year, I've discovered reasonably priced kielbasa at Kroger that's an uncured pork kielbasa, and it doesn't have any corn ingredients. So that means I can have this meal again. But it's really simple. It's the cabbage all chopped up, it's diced onions, the kielbasa, some sour cream, and some spicy brown mustard. I'm actually out of spicy brown mustard. I just have horseradish mustard, but I think that'll work really well. So I'm just going to finish chopping my sausage up here, and then we'll get this going on the stove. I did find a version of this recipe on somebody's website, and I thought their relative made it too, and they didn't know it came from a magazine because they called it Aunt Helen's cabbage and kielbasa, I think. And it was the exact same recipe. So Aunt Helen probably got it out of the Taste of Home magazine. Let's get our food going on the stove. The original recipe calls for adding a little bit of water to your pan with your onions and cabbage. I really like this with the cabbage and onions sauteed a little bit. I actually don't mind if my onions get some brown edges on them. I just think it adds more flavor. So I've added just maybe a tablespoon and a half of avocado oil, and I'm going to get my onions in here to saute for a while. And actually, I like to add my sausage at this point too, because I like both of these things to get a little bit browned. We're just going to let this kielbasa and the onions cook for a while until the onions are starting to get softened and translucent and the sausage gets some browning on it. Part of why I like to cook the onions some first before adding the cabbage is I just find that they take a little bit longer to soften. And in the past, when I followed the directions as written, I ended up with crunchy onions and tender cabbage. And texturally, I just didn't like that. So I find the sauteing the onions to just make everything more to my liking. I also have a pot of potatoes on here to boil just to make some really simple mashed potatoes. Nothing too exciting, you know, probably a little bit of butter, some salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of cream, but really simple because the cabbage dish is really flavorful with the sour cream mustard sauce. But this is just how I grew up eating this dish as a kid. Here you can see we have some sausage getting nice caramelized bits on it. Our onions are getting nice and cooked, and so I'm gonna add our cabbage. Cabbage is a lot like spinach. It will cook down a lot. So this is going to look incredibly full here for a few minutes. And I may even need to add it in batches. I am going to add some salt. That is going to help get the liquid coming out of our cabbage. I am going to add about half a cup of water to this just to help start wilting our cabbage down. And that water, it'll cook out, but it'll help keep stuff from burning in the bottom of our pot. I should maybe have used a bigger dish for this, but I am committed now. So is what it is. Ooh, that was toasty. So now we just cook this until our cabbage is all tender and, wilted down, no more liquid in the bottom of our pot. While our cabbage is cooking, I am going to combine our sour cream and our mustard. This is a step you could forego if you want and just add it all at once into the pot once the cabbage is ready. But I feel like I get the mustard mixed in better if I mix the sour cream and mustard together. So that's how I choose to do it, even though it means I have an extra bowl to clean. It's worth it. This does call for 2 cups of sour cream and about a 1/4 cup of mustard. I may have a hard time getting that much mustard out of this jar, but we're going to try. Okay. So all I'm going to add to this sour cream and mustard is some pepper. I added salt to our cabbage, and so I don't want to salt the sauce. If we need more salt in the end after everything's combined, we can add it, but you don't want to make it too salty. I don't know how well it comes through on the camera, but we have this nice creamy speckled mustard sauce. It's delicious. You can see here how much the cabbage cooked down and that our pan is nice and dry. Most of this liquid is cooked out. So now we're going to add our sauce. At this point, we're really just looking to get our sauce stirred in and heated through, and then this is going to be ready to serve. I do feel like this is one of those meals that maybe you look at it and you're like, I don't know about that. It's not the prettiest thing, but it's so good. I did, while that cabbage was cooking, also get my mashed potatoes made up. So I just added a little bit of butter, some salt and pepper, and I also added a handful of freeze-dried green onions. This is ready to plate up. I've got my Susan's kielbasa and mashed potatoes all in my bowl here. So I'm just gonna try and get a bite with a little bit of everything in it. It goes on a fork nicely. I love this stuff, you guys. This tastes so much like my childhood. We ate this pretty regularly in our house. And it was one of those things that you miss, but you don't realize how much you missed it until you can have it again. So I'm really grateful to have found that corn-free kielbasa. If it sounds a little bit weird to you, I would encourage you to just give it a try. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but maybe it's just nostalgia for me, but I think it's a fantastic recipe. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you're having a wonderful December and holiday season, and I'll see you next time. Bye.